Oshimiria Tata, the river that never runs dry. And in this season, know and be sure and be of confidence that God that gives us, that makes our bellies flow with living waters, will never allow anything to run dry in our lives in the name of Jesus. Welcome to Life Matters. And I'm sure that your day has been going well. Mine has been okay. I should use that word okay, but I am grateful. Like I will wake up, and I can see a beautiful face in front of me. That's more than enough to say thank you to God. How are you doing, Dupe?
I'm good, thanks. I wasn't sure if I was live yet. This is my first time doing this.
Oh, yeah,
Hi,
yeah,
Angela.
yeah. People, after like, let me say 20 years, let me exaggerate. After 20 years, we have the CEO of Antidope's Booker. After 20 years, people have blown. Don't understand. I am personally blown.
Well, thank you for
But
having me.
you're welcome. How have you been? How's the lockdown going?
It's good. It's good. I mean,
I love it.
I know, right?
People like
Half of me loves it, half of me doesn't. But it's good in terms of, I can work from home. So I'm thankful at least that, money is still coming in one way or the other. But,
yeah.
it's bad because if you're somebody who likes socializing and things like that, staying at home might not be the best thing for you. So I get those moments when I'm like, oh God, what am I going to do next? But yeah.
Well, I think sometimes you just unwind yourself from the whole. For me, if I'm not out, I'm inside. So I like that's the extreme thing of me being an extrovert. So I'm introverted to the extreme. I just like to be at home. I can be in bed all day, and people be like, "Never, you should be." I'm like, "You don't get. I was on this couch all day." As long as I have internet, I can work, I can create. That's all. Like I don't want to know what's going on.
It's
I want
both
to,
ways.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's both ways. Yeah, yeah. Like sometimes I feel like just staying at home. I'm happy to be indoors, but sometimes I'm like, no, like even if it's to go to the grocery store, let's just go. Let's go.
no, I'm happy. I'm happy. My husband is back. So actually, I've not seen the grocery store in like 2 weeks. So I'm like, I'm literally balling.
At least they've restocked the groceries now because it used to be so empty.
Yeah. And
But
I think putting the limit to how many you can buy
mm-hmm.
really helped that too.
Yeah. Thank God. I wish they did that since the beginning, but I mean, it's better late than never, right? So,
But they're using that to increase. But before I continue, guys, sorry. Welcome to Life Matters with Adedeji. If this is your first time, welcome. You have a CAC bell. So today I'm talking to a friend, a sister, a business mogul, a mogul. I don't know what to call it. I didn't know the English. I biology. Everybody. I'm seeing everybody at their trooping in. Thank you very much. My guest for today. This month we're having girls chat, and basically, the drive I had for this month was that we talked to just female CEOs and talk about their experience. Basically, I wanted to just talk to female CEOs, in Canada. I wanted to just listen to how they've been thriving, both like coming from wherever they migrated from, and how they're thriving now, and what their business, how they gave birth to their business, why they love it, and yeah, basically just a girls chat. So today I have Dupe Adedeji. She is what they call people that like food too much.
a foodie.
She's a
Food entrepreneur.
foodie. I call them Fudechi, but she's a chef in her own creative. She doesn't just cook all those things that you're not be able to eat. Don't worry. She cooks stuff that you're familiar with, but puts a twist on it. And that's what we call Antidope's Booker. So if you hear the Booker side of it, not that because she's Nigerian, but what she's preparing is a Nigerian cuisine where she does a twist and mix of stuff and puts it together. So she makes Zobo look like it's like one bougie tea. She
Yes.
makes moi look like
Yes.
it is from the palm of Damascus. You get that kind of thing. So we're gonna be talking to her today, and it's just gonna be a fun show. So You're relaxed, sit down. See, I'm chilling right now.
Is it okay if I drink water? Because I have my water and my breakfast here.
My sister, if you want to drink, it, just fire on. But today
I
we're
wasn't
having
sure.
a
Okay.
Dupe. No, you can, not sure. And one of the things that we're going to be talking at first today, I think I will start talking about it, is how the impact of the COVID-19 is affecting business. But I'm just going to let her introduce herself first and give us a run through of how is COVID affecting business. Because I know that you do like pop-up. Okay, let me allow you to talk so that I keep quiet.
Okay. Okay, hi everyone. Annie, thank you so much for having me. I know we've been talking about this for a long time, so I'm really happy that I finally got the opportunity to come on. My name is Dupe Adedeji, and I'm one of the owners. So me and my husband, we own Auntie Dupe's Buka. Auntie Dupe's Buka is kind of the name that I go by. That's what everybody knows me as. And then Traveling Dishes is kind of the operation. So Traveling Dishes from my Buka, from Auntie Dupe's Buka. So we created that because, you know, we found that there's a lack of some Nigerian food here in Edmonton, first of all. And kind of to showcase Nigerian food, to bring it out into the public, you know, to kind of celebrate the culture through food, and then to also show that our food is, you know, delicious, it's accessible, anybody can eat it. You don't have to be Nigerian to eat it. And to kind of show the fun side of what you can do with Nigerian food as well. So we started with our tour last summer. Which I was thinking about earlier, that, oh my goodness, thank God it wasn't this year we wanted to start the tour, because boy, it would not have been good because we needed people. So we had 4 stops on the tour. And in all those tours, we showcased Nigerian food for people to be able to have a taste of it. So we had Nigerians coming out, we had non-Nigerians coming out, people from all over, Edmonton as well. They really showed up, which was great. And so right now we are doing cooking classes, and we're also doing catering as well. So catering small, intimate parties or gatherings or celebrations. Yeah, that's pretty much us in a nutshell.
So, for those that don't understand it, I would like call it if you cook. I know that we're all used. Like personally, I'm used to like cooking Nigerian food in different styles, but there's some food that just like, I like pepper. So when I go out and whatever doesn't have pepper, it takes me extra layer of the pepper in me to accept whatever it is. So I had to learn that in a really, really hard way. I had to, oh my God, I really had to go to a lot of like stores to like try out stuff. It took me a very long while to even like burger. It took me I would take fries, but I would not like burger because it was not hot. Then instead doing like hot stuff for burger, which I was super excited about. So all those kind of things, I kind of started enjoying it. But at some point when I saw what you were doing, I felt like it was brilliant, because a lot of people that might not be like me, but will want to see, okay, how does Nigerian food taste? Some people say, oh, Nigerian food, it's always hot. But when they taste something like that, that's not as hot as how like an average me will cook it, they'll be like, oh, this is actually different. This is very nice. So the first thing to even ask is, how is this like season, how is this COVID season affecting business? Because I know that you work directly to the consumer. It's not it's not how do I put it, it's not something that I can do remotely, like, oh, I can work from home or something. So how is it right now affecting business? How has it stopped operation?
Okay. Yeah, because so in the food service business, right, it usually comes from whoever brings it to the consumer, and that's what we do. So because of our cooking class and catering, we of course need people to book us, or we need them to, you know, take the food from us and consume it, right? So because of the COVID or the virus going around and self-isolation, things like that, we're putting a pause on it. Because of course the kitchen that we use, it's also closed, right? So it's a community kitchen that we work with. So that was kind of one of the hindrance. So that kitchen, we use it for cooking classes, and then we also sometimes use it for catering as well. So if we don't have access to a kitchen, of course we can't cook and we can't give it to people, right? Some of the people who already booked us, even for this period, everything's been suspended as well, because either their function was canceled, or, you know, they just want to wait till the coast is clear, or they have people, you know, coming in, but because of the border and all that stuff that's being blocked, they
Yeah.
can't come in anymore. So basically, we're at that point where we're kind of like, oh, well, our service has to be paused because there's nothing we can do, right? So
Yeah.
right now, we're just hoping to move everything virtual for now. So to continue teaching people about Nigerian food, Nigerian ingredients, the culture, and then maybe doing some virtual cooking classes. This would be my first time teaching those online.
Okay.
So it's a bit different, but I'm looking forward to it. So I'm working on that.
Like now that people are home, they can have access, and that'll be very brilliant, because I'll just feel like when you are teaching people from home and they're at home and they're listening, it's just like a master class, right? You'll be able
Exactly.
to say, okay, do it this way, do it that way, and they can always have access to the video after, compared
Exactly.
to if sometimes you might be so brilliant but sometimes forget. But once you have access to those videos, you'll be able to say, okay, we shoot at this time, we do things at this time, and all that.
Yeah.
So moving from that, how did the business start? Because it's different from when you just think about something and just down in your house and say, okay, you know what, let's start this thing. Maybe it's gonna make sense, maybe it's not gonna make sense. Were there days of doubt? Were there days where you were like, oh, you know what, I'm done, like I'm not even interested in this thing? Or did you just come flowing and you just like went diving into it?
Okay. Well, a little bit of both. It started because so I used to cook a lot, usually personally on my own. Sometimes I invite people and then, cook for them and all that stuff. So a lot of times I like hosting people a lot, right? So I like just having people over, cook for them, and then treat them basically. And then something else too that I really enjoyed was taking pictures of food, right? Foodography, I used to call it, right? Like, getting that angle, the lighting and things like that. So, every time I would cook, I'll take a picture of it and then I'll put it back. Then I was really, really into Snapchat, say about like a year and a half ago. So I would post everything on Snapchat or my WhatsApp, things like that here and there. And then people were like, oh my God, I need to try this. Because sometimes I take regular recipe and I'll just create something random out of it, right? Like, I wonder how this will be. So I will now post those on social media, on my social media.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends back then, she was just like, oh my God, like, can you just have an event where you can like invite people to just come and eat, right? She was more talking in terms of like as a couple, right? So maybe her and her husband or whatever, or, Valentine's little special thing. So I thought about it. And I was like, well, why not, right? I spoke to my husband about it, and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think about this idea? And it's like, you know what? That could be possible. So I started Googling and researching, right? Like, how do you do this? How can I make it a reality? What can I do with it? And to be honest with you, I actually wanted to take it out of the Nigerian scene, to be honest with you. I wanted to go like, oh, let me just do like private dining in people's homes, and then I can learn how to cook regular food, right? So, but then we thought about it, and what made it special was because it was different, because nobody else was doing this, right? It was a Nigerian, nobody really was exploring Nigerian cuisine in that field, you know what I mean? And then why copy like European dishes when, you probably need to compete with all these people who have gone to culinary school and, you know what I mean, have their blue seal, things like that, when literally you cook the things that you eat every day at home, right? So that's kind of how it snowballed from one thing to the other. Ideas for sure were coming and going. Sometimes I'll change my mind. Sometimes I'm like, no, let's just try this. But I think the encouragement from my husband really helped. And also I spoke with my sisters as well, like, hey guys, what do you think about this? And they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. So yeah, that's kind of how it just started.
Okay, and the days where you had those low moments, like even when you started it, like what was that thing that kept you going? Because for me, when you start something, people be like, oh, I started this thing 3 years ago, it was great, it was good, and they move. But I personally know that maybe because for me, because I deal with virtual content, it's always, you have to be in the creative scene every time, so you can't stop. I saw someone the other day and I'm like, there's some days where I wake up and I just have to, I have like probably 30 packs of this and I just stick it everywhere, and my organ doesn't have any choice. You see paper everywhere and be like, okay, like let me not just disturb. So at that point, I just want to put stuff together, right? Even when at that point I'm not in the mood, but I make sure that for virtual content it's a little bit different. But when it comes to like running a man-to-hand business, it's always a bit different, especially when you don't get that support from people that you would expect. So those days where, where you like, oh, my husband supports me, or my family supports me, but you now put it out there and you'll be like, oh, okay, so I was expecting this particular support to like jump out of their loops to do that for me. Did you have that expectation, or were you like, you know what, as long as my family and my husband supports me, I'm good?
You know what, in the beginning I did, to be honest. I had it was one of those things where it was like, oh, it would be nice. It was always back and forth, right? So I guess when I started, some people were like, wow, you're so brave, right? And like even people that I met outside, because outside of, my immediate people who I don't know, who kind of invite me, they have an idea and they were like, hey, we're doing this with the city and whatever, what do you think, right? And one of the ladies, I remember, she's like, man, you're so brave. Like, I don't know how you thought about it, but like, we're rooting for you, things like that. So, I did kind of was thinking it would be nice to have, people that I know or friends and things like that to support. Sometimes it does happen. I've gotten so much support from my friends and, even people from Ontario, from church, like everywhere. So it's really overwhelming and stuff like that. But then sometimes too, when it's true, just like anybody, right? If you have something that you're doing, maybe somebody who you were hoping to support in one way or the other, maybe they kind of let you down or things like that. It does happen, but you just have to keep on moving. So of course that's happened. I'm sure everybody has been through that. Or you might even have set like a super high expectation and then it falls low, right? So I remember during the tour, when I was doing the tour, I was kind of like, the first one was great. So many family and friends and things came. And then you see that as the tour progressed, less people, it becomes more people who you don't know. In a way, it's positive. In a way, it can also be disheartening because you're hoping, oh my God, I hope that this person buys a ticket to the thing. You know what I mean? Come out and support. But then also, I was also happy because it just shows that if you're having strangers come, the more you do it, if you're getting more in contact with strangers, it means you're doing your job well, right? That it's not only people that you know all the time that keep showing up, right? You're actually touching the mass and like people who I don't even know, they heard about it. So our marketing, our advertising must have been working, right? But of course, there were those times where I was kind of like, okay, well, you could have at least done this. But
that's true.
But
that's
most
true.
people did support in the way that they can. They shared and they told people about it, which is really good.
That's awesome. So my next question is, I've gone to a couple of provinces and I've seen Chinese food tribe, Indian food tribe, Indian food business tribe, I know that most Filipinos have their own cuisine too. I've seen different brands tribe, but when it comes to the African food business,
girl,
when it comes to the restaurant part of it, the only place I know that is really thriving right now is Calgary and maybe Toronto. I have not seen any other city that has food business thrive. And my question is, why do you think it's not just food business as in raw? I mean, food business like what you're into, which is the food consumer to or cook to consume, right? Why is it that it's not thriving in should we say, let's use Edmonton as a case study. We know a couple of food businesses that closed down, and I could say, okay, these are pointers to why it closed down, but why do you think African food businesses don't really thrive?
Okay, well, from what I'm thinking, from my own personal experience of going into it, I have a few, I guess, theories, but and I've spoken to a few people about some of them too. But from my own personal point of view that I've been going into it, I think it's also about strategy or the long-term goal, I guess, of whoever wants to start, right? Because to have something thrive, somebody needs to start, right? And then maybe other people will pick up, and then eventually it'll grow. Just like, say, Chinese cuisine, for example, right? Somebody started it, and then more of them got into it, and then you know what I mean. So I think it just depends on kind of the vision that an individual sees for themselves, and then sees for other people like them, right? So, for example, even traveling dishes is not. Of course, I want a lot of people to experience Nigerian food, right? But then I also want us to grow, right? I don't want to be really the only one, right? I want more people to kind of come out and celebrate and show that, so that one day we can have people going around and saying, oh, I want to try Nigerian food, because it's more accessible that way. Another one that we spoke about, I went to a food oh, so the first one is like vision, right? So looking in the long term in terms of like, this is not just for me, it's for all the Nigerians, right? I want to make sure that we don't only stay in our community, right? So even if I'm a caterer or something like that, I'm going to try and get out of my community and spread my food as much as I can, right? If I have a restaurant, I'm going to market, I'm going to meet people that I don't normally meet outside of my community. So because I always see, you know, Nigerians are a minority here in Edmonton. We're not large in numbers, right? You've got to look at what the majority is, and then not saying that you have to lose the content or, you know, the basis of it, which is Nigerian food and taste, but you also have to make it palatable, like what we were talking about earlier, to different tastes, right? So, you know, how are the Chinese people doing it? How are these people doing it, right? What skills can I learn from that? And I'm still learning as well, right? So it's about the intent, like how far you want to go, and then it's also about, I think, strategy as well, right? So looking at the what do you call it? At the population, who's there? Who do you need to serve? How can we get it out there? And then somebody else said something too at a food networking event that I went to early last year about consistency and customer service in our food. So consistency in the taste, right? Of course, we all cook different, right? Like, just like, for example, let's say a Filipino restaurant. Some might taste different than others, right? But the basic main food tastes the same, right? Or it tastes very similar. But of course, we have different tastes in Nigerian food, different tastes, or in jollof rice, different tastes in soups, things like that. So I had to learn that I can't just be making stuff anyhow, especially if I'm going to start catering and people expect that same level of consistency. I have to write a recipe and I have to make sure that I follow it to the T, right? If I'm teaching cooking classes, whoever came last month needs to taste the same thing that we made as people who I'm teaching today, right? So keeping that consistency, and of course, customer service, I think so, because I've been to some restaurants. You don't really want to go back because of the way you were treated, right? You want to be wine and dine. You know, you're paying for the service, you're paying for the food, you know, so things like that, right? So it's just those little things, and I feel like if we work on them, we can go really far, right? So yeah, and just learning from others.
So you touched on two things that I
I saw the eye roll. I was like, okay.
Consistency in taste has never been, I'm sorry, has never been a strong point for most African cuisines. Right. I think that there are very few that still try. The Ethiopian community, I'm sorry, I should have added that. The Ethiopian community also, their food whatever thrives, their food business thrives. But when it comes to Nigerian food business, two things you said I think kill the law of Nigerian businesses here in Edmonton is consistency in taste and customer service. Yeah. It has always been a problem that I've seen generally, that even when you go to a clothing store and it's a Nigerian, 90% of the time how do I put it? They have this thing that, okay, this Nigerian has come, let me just mind my business. Right. They don't do the because for me, if you treat me right when I come to your store, I'll always want to come back.
Absolutely.
Like, even if I live in the West and your store is in the South, I will make that trip because I know that every time I go there, I will enjoy myself. Do you understand? Yeah. But what happens most times is that I think there's that entitlement of, I don't care, let me just do what I want to do and move on without thinking about how your customer feels. And when it comes to food, taste, like, I'm a tasty person. Even when I'm cooking, oh my God, I can taste it like 70 times to make sure that it's the same flavor. Yeah. Depending on like how I want to create that piece, right? Yeah. But when it comes to consistency in taste, the Nigerian food business, especially in Edmonton, they don't have that consistency. so it doesn't help. I remember one of the things that killed a particular store was not just taste or customer service. It was that even in your customer service, you have to listen to what your clients want.
Yes, yes.
So because
oh yeah,
the average Nigerian will not sit down in the restaurant and eat the food, except if they're traveling from out of town, right?
Right.
So the best bet is to make sure that their takeaway packs, there's so many things in place. They can order, they can call in, you tell them 30 minutes and they'll bring it in so minutes. There's that leeway. But for that particular restaurant, they started seeing more foreign people come in, sit down and dine. And they forgot the people that first came into the business with them, who are Nigerians.
Okay.
So they started saying, oh, we don't sell takeaway. Oh, we don't give takeaway. Oh, so the main people that were like holding their business from the start, just gradually left. And you know, Nigerians, once they don't like something,
you're not going back.
They will not go back, but they will carry people that will not go back with them. That's one thing I do. Oh my God! Don't offend the Nigerian in your business. That's what I'll just say, because that thing has become part of us, where we just see that this person wasn't good to me. That's all. Like, I don't care what happens to your business, and that ran that business down. Like right now, in another African country, but the establishment.
Okay.
But for me, I looked at it and I'm like, why is it an African business? And what you said was spot. I had to write it. Consistency in taste is key. No matter how good, how amazing you can be, if you're not consistent in your taste, because people can cook this food in their house. Remember,
of course, yeah,
they're Nigerians. Actually, they're like guys that don't know how to cook.
Yeah.
But most ladies that know how to cook can cook these things in their house. So they're treating themselves to your food is like, okay, let's see how good this thing is. Because that's the same thing I do. Like when I went to Calgary, there's this place that everybody has said, they're good. Okay, let's see what they're all about. And I went there. The next time I went back to Calgary with a set of people, I carried them there.
You went there, yeah.
And the moment that I saw that the taste was different, I'm like, this thing isn't tasting as whatever, as high. I really like it. I felt it was not tasty, but it was probably me that day, because so many things were never tasting my mouth that day. But the next time I'll eat their food again, it was the same thing I remember from the first time I came, right? So you're not wavering. It really helps your business, and you really said it. But why is it that we're not good at customer service? Because I don't know why. Is it a problem? Is it something that we don't put in part of? You talked about something about vision. Is it like we don't put on our vision plate when we are starting the business, or we just feel like, don't worry, I open it, Nigerians will come? Do we have that mindset?
So I think it's the vision for sure, right? It depends on what you see for your business or your restaurant or whatever, your food business in the long run, right? If you see it thriving, you need to do the stuff that's going to make it thrive, right? So if, not having the right attitude is not going to punch you towards that vision, a smart or like a caring business person would think about, okay, how can I change it down to the little bits? Like, even I'm surprised because I have McDonald's app on my phone. But anyways, I keep getting notifications, right, about how they're trying to make things better, like almost every time, even more so now with the virus, right? Like, we're washing our hands, we're doing this, it makes you feel like, oh, wow, like these people really care. But at the end of the day, of course, they want to thrive, but who's going to put that money in their pockets? It's the consumers, right? So they're letting you know that they really care about health and safety. They're trying to make themselves better, things like that. And that is exactly what's lacking in like our food businesses, right? Or any other kind of business sometimes, right? It's what's your vision, right? And then if you have that vision, what are the things that you need to do to make it better? And I feel like, even sometimes you might have gone to a restaurant where, say, you didn't really like the food, it didn't taste so good, right? Or whatever. But the top-notch service that waiter or whoever gave you, you know what I mean? Like, it made you feel so good that the food it tastes really like 5 stars. You know what I mean, right? So sometimes too, that compliment, that customer service, that extra little care goes a long way, even more than the product that you have. Of course, the dishes even that we're making, anybody can make them. We teach them at cooking classes so that you can make them in your homes, right? It's not that, we don't want to share recipes or whatever. Anybody can make these things, right? But the intent behind it is that we want people to feel good about Nigerian food. We want you to love the taste, but then we also want you to love the culture. We want you to appreciate Nigerians, right? Don't just know them for being 419s, but we're really good in entertainment, right? We're really good in food and fashion, right? And art even, right? So many talents and things that Nigerians are so full of, but people don't see beyond that, oh, Nigerians are too loud, Nigerians 419, Nigerians have bad customer service. So we're kind of hoping that we can start shifting the tide. And we met quite a few business people. My husband and I, we went to San Francisco and we met Simi. She's the owner of Eco Kitchen in San Francisco, the only San Francisco Nigerian restaurant there. And like, even I told her, I'm like, girl, you inspired me, right? She's younger than I am. But she's got that vision, right? She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's going for. And you can tell, right? In you know, what she does on her Instagram and things like that. Even meeting her in person, she's super humble. You know that this is a good business person, right? She has her 5-year plan down the line. So it's just about that vision, following it. And then, you know, of course you'll have some people sometimes too that kind of want to mess that vision up for you, or they make you upset or something like that. But it's the future, it's the overall general vision that you have, right? That's gonna guide you. So
okay, so I'll just read a couple of comments here and there and I'll move on.
Yeah.
So your real estate advisor said McDonald's is a big company and they have a lot of years to perfect their skills. We need time to perfect our skills too, which is very correct. And one thing you just noted, which I just heard from somebody, I mean, like he did an interview with, he had a chat with Pastor Kodjo Emade, and he said something. He said, as a budding entrepreneur, when you're growing your business, you grow it with that vision, with that plan and everything.
Yes.
Remove the problem a growing entrepreneur does is to use sentiment for ability. So you use a sentiment of, okay, my uncle is supporting me, let him help me with this thing in the business. And you close your eyes to those things that your uncle is inadequate at, but because the support is there. He said that's one of the first things that breaks a young entrepreneur's business. You look at competency over familiarity. And for me, I feel like, I think that's one of the things that breaks a lot of African restaurants or African business, or even churches, is the fact that we put sentiment over ability. Oh, this person has been with us for 30 years. Can the person do the job? That's the question. Oh, okay. And Dupe's Booker has been doing great. Okay. I want to join your business. Okay, good. But these are templates. Can you do it? It's not like I like the business. Oh, I love you guys. The question is, can this person, if you tell me you're going to be my social media manager, let's go for it. But if you're going to do that, are you going to perfect your skills? Will you know what's going on right now? Would you be able to say, okay, you know what? Are we a company that jumps on trend or a company that works with? Because personally, I don't like jumping on trends. Because I was sharing on my Insta story a couple of days ago that a lot of businesses can jump on trends. If you want to do like this bop daddy challenge, if you want to do the whatever challenge it is, if you sell wigs, I think that challenge is great for your wigs, because you just come in with a new wig and let people know that you sell that kind of thing. For food, it's a little bit different, right? You can either cook different cuisines and come in with one particular food and put it up, and the next picture you put, the next video, you could do that. It works for you. But when you're not doing things like that, make sure that whatever is coming on your page is something that people can relate or have access to, right? And also growing. But when you don't have a team that has the ability to want to grow and follow that vision, like you said, it just crawls and crumbles the business. So I understand what she said, that McDonald's is taking time to perfect their skills, but there's a vision plate that once you enter that restaurant and you want to work with them, there's something you must do. And it takes me to the question where I wanted to ask you that. So for McDonald's, if you're buying a franchise, there is that, okay, this is how we do things, this is how we do this is how you mix the tea, this is how. But Nigerians, or let's say Africans, when it comes to food, we don't do that. We want to have the superstar in the kitchen and not share the knowledge of the superstar with everybody. Do you think that's what breaks our business? Or do you think hiding our recipes makes us better?
Okay. Well, so first for the McDonald's thing, for sure. Yeah, they definitely had a lot of time. But just like any business, right? But McDonald's was a very small startup, right? If you watch the Netflix documentary on that, right? It was a guy that started and then another guy took over and things like that. But the sure thing was from the beginning, right? There was also that plan, right? There was also that thinking ahead. Before they used to only sell like just like a couple of things. I think burgers and shakes or something. But like you said earlier too, you have to listen to your customers, right? So people are asking, oh, how come you don't do this? Why don't you do? And then they started evolving until they became that franchise, and lots of people were, you know what I mean? So it starts from something as little as it could just be you, right? Cooking your own food, being your own caterer, or being in the food business. But if you have that vision, like, oh, I want to be a franchise one day, right? You're going to start working on it, and then as you can, as you grow, you start to know what's important to share with people, like, oh, we're trying to make this better. Their customer service, you just make it better with time. It grows, right? So absolutely, they've had a lot of time, but McDonald's too, they've had their vision from the beginning. So that kind of guides their way. So anybody can really do it. You don't have to be a large corporation to have all that customer service. And then to your question of hogging everything, I feel like it depends on the people. Because at one point too, I was, even for myself, right? I don't consider myself to be the greatest or the best cook in the world, right? All of us are different and stuff, right? But what makes you different is your creativity and the passion and whatever's behind just being that cook, right? It depends on the person. So I do think that some people feel like they can do it all, right, by themselves. I've gone to some African stores where the owner is there 24/7, right? It could be an old woman or old man or whatever, or the next day maybe somebody from their church or whatever that they just put there, right? And I feel like sometimes, I don't know what it is, maybe they don't want someone to steal their idea or whatever, so they want to keep it between themselves or something, or maybe they just don't want to contract it out to somebody else and pay them for this time and service. I really don't know what it is, but having that kind of mentality does keep you small. And I've talked to my husband about it too. I used to have that moment where I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to share all these recipes with like who's, if I wanted to go on a holiday or a vacation, but I have a catering gig coming up, right? I want to go on my vacation. I don't want to cancel it because you know what I mean? Or I'm sick or something, right? I can't always do what I'm doing right now. I have to, because I'm still starting up. I'm still learning. I'm still building, right? But of course, as time goes on, I'm going to be passing all of this stuff to somebody else, right? Or to multiple people. Having that recipe book, like I said, or recipe written down is good, because then you can train other people. Everything is consistent because everything has been planned for and written down in the book, right? And that's how it'll be easy to be like, hey, this is my whole franchise for whatever businesses this is. You want to buy into my business? Here you go. You should be able to do exactly the same thing that I've been doing, right? I can split myself multiple times. And then that's how you think, right? That's how you grow out of just being yourself. Because as a self-employed person, if you're sick, right, the money's not coming in, right? So I don't know if that's what's keeping some restaurants back or businesses or things like that. But if you really want to grow, you need to be transparent and share with, not like share with everybody, but share with, people who
Your
can
team.
handle it. Exactly.
Okay, so a comment came in and she said you can also you also need a lot of money to hire professionals that will support your vision. Which I think yes, and I also think that competency and someone that wants to grow is very important. You can, if you have a professional that doesn't support your vision, it's a waste of money. You have to make sure that wherever you're going to get, even if the person hasn't got to that professional level, I think the person is wanting to thrive.
Yes.
She said McDonald's didn't share their recipes, Coca-Cola didn't share their recipe either. I don't mean to general public. I mean,
no, not
they
like
won't share it.
You don't share it with everybody. Yeah.
Coke tastes the same all over the world.
Exactly.
I've not gone to any part of the world. Maybe I think they said Nigerian one has, I think, a little bit more sugar or something, or there's something a little bit more.
But there's a basis of the recipe, right? It's shared, right? They're not going to share it to you, obviously, or a competing company, but within the franchise, right? It's shared, right?
Yeah.
They have the same or at least similar suppliers, manufacturers, things like that, right? If you're in the food business, you get to see some of these things, or we have a few like food friends that we made from last year locally here in the city, which has been awesome because they open your eyes to so many things that the general public has no idea about, right? And it kind of helps you to know how things work, or like what risks are worth taking and whatnot. But of course, McDonald's, you know, any franchise, they share it, right, with whoever bought the franchise, and that's how they're able to kind of multiply everything, and it's very similar. Now Nigeria, right, could have maybe like they add, I don't know, suya to their burger, I don't know, or suya spice. There's different tweaks, right? Just like the McDonald's in India, for example, because they don't really eat a lot of cow, a lot of their patties are actually vegetarian, right? So they tweak it based on the population, like I said before too. So if you're Nigerian living in Nigeria, of course, satisfy the general population, your people. If you're Nigerian living in the UK, think about the population. How do they do things? So yeah.
All I'm saying is that your secret sauce recipe is not shared. From the conversation we are having here, and for me, if you want to buy a franchise right now, there's a guideline to how you prepare each thing, and that is the process of preparing it is your recipe. It's not, there is nothing for food, or I don't know how, if I tell you that I want to prepare vegetable and I call your company and I say, oh, I want to learn how to prepare this, you will give me the steps because that's what you're training me to do, right? There's no how you would, but you won't go to the public to use the megaphone and say, you guys, I use this. Everybody will do it, right? But whoever you're selling your franchise to, because you want, I've taken I said McDonald's, Tim Hortons. I've taken Tim Hortons in different cities in Canada. I've taken Tim Hortons in Dubai. Girl, it's the same taste. I didn't see any difference in their tea. I didn't see any difference in what they call it. Formula is locked in a vault. Yeah, the formula can be locked in a vault. But the price of making a girl, they have to share it. Unless whoever locks in the vault, it will just die there. Basically.
Well, it could also be like, so I used to work at Wendy's back like a while ago. And it could be like, okay, maybe your meat or something like that, right, is gotten from, you know, a certain company that makes the beef patties or whatever. So you, as the frontline staff that's putting the burgers together, like for example, I don't know how to make the beef patties that go into Wendy's hamburger. You know what I mean? But me as a frontline staff, I know that there's tomato, lettuce. You see the end products, right? And then when you fit to the customer, they're just eating that burger, right? But of course, the franchise owner knows where they're getting the supplies from. And you know, they might have a secret recipe in the manufacturing plant or whatever, but that's what I mean, right? As the head, right, the owners, you have to obviously share that if you want your business to grow.
I think this person, as much as I think we're saying the same thing, but because we're using the word recipe is why she's taking it. She's like, I've worked in McDonald's before, and what they give you is the frozen food. That's you, the person cooking.
The employee,
But they tell you how to prepare it. That they can't just let you cook it how you cook in your house.
You won't make it from scratch. You won't be the one to kill the
cow. No. When we mean recipe, it's not just recipe as in the key ingredients. When we mean recipe, we also mean that how to prepare it, how to go around it. But probably where I know some companies that they won't tell you where. Like go watch either Dragon's Den or what they call this other one. I forgot the name. Shark Tank. They will ask you everything because they're the ones, they want to know what they're investing into. So if you go there and you're like, I'm not going to share anything, why did you go there? Do you understand my point? And a lot of people have complained that some people have stolen the idea from there. Some people have done that, but that's you going to that kind of company. But because you have to break down how you sell it, where you sell it, how you do this, you can't go there and say you won't do that. But the most important thing is whether you lock the where you buy the clothes or in a vault, or the key thing that made traveling dishes in a vault, whoever is taking traveling dishes to Vancouver has a template they're following, which is some part of recipe for your company. It's part of your vision guidelines, right?
Yeah, it's a guideline.
The key so there's a difference between key ingredients and recipes. So the key ingredients can be locked in your vault, where I'm trying to differentiate so the person can understand that we are saying the same thing, but maybe the words are a little bit different.
Maybe, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Okay. So before I let you go, because I have 9 minutes more on the show.
Okay.
That's how interesting it is. We always just talk.
I
We
had
don't
no
know
idea. I didn't
how
know
the
how
time
long
just
I
flies.
can't believe it's almost 12. My God. Okay.
So my next question is, so how did you go into food? Like, were you born in Canada? Because we were born in Canada, maybe that's why you like the old bougie Nigerian food. Or were you born in Nigeria? So how did your process of migrating to Canada look like? And when did you loving food?
Okay. So I moved to Canada when I was 8, turning 9. 2001 actually. So it's been about 19 years. Yeah. We came together with my family, my parents, and then my siblings. I have 6 siblings. So we moved to Mississauga originally first. And then I went to school at the University of Guelph. So I left my family home when I was going to university, and I was there for about 4.5 years. Then I came here to Edmonton. So really, I've always kind of been cooking. I was the last girl, so I was like the last female. So a lot of times, you know, my older sisters would be the one to cook and everything, and they'll just kind of kick me around and boss me around. So I didn't really do too much of that, especially in Nigeria. Of course, when I came to Canada, you know, you have to pull your own weight, things like that. I started to make some food by myself, not really to this extent, but you know, the basic stuff that your parents teach you, how to make rice and chicken and things like that. And then I would say probably in university was when I started actually getting into it more. You know, I always like to cook and just have my friends over and just have like a girls' night or just like hang out and stuff. We used to throw parties and just make so much food. And then people will show up, right? So people really enjoyed always coming to our place, me and my roommates back then. And then I moved to Edmonton about in 2015, early 2015. So and I've always just been cooking for myself. I lived with my sister for a bit. I would be the one to cook. I would bake bread. I would put so much calories on my sister because I would always cook, right? But it wasn't honestly really until last year that I thought about it to make it something other than outside of myself, right? And like I explained earlier, that was kind of the reason why, to just, you know, do something different, celebrate Nigerian food. And I've loved it so far because I'm my own boss, right? So I get to be creative with stuff. And yeah, even earlier, like we were talking about the team too, right? Some people have wanted to get involved in stuff. So you just have to kind of see who is good for what and things like that. Yeah.
So my next question, or my wrapping question, will be, so I would like to say it's 2 in 1. Is the first one will be that what has been, when it comes to you with the consumer, like with customers, what has been that one challenge that you faced personally? And the other side to the question is, as a young entrepreneur yourself, what would you have advised someone that is so scared to start, like someone that is really, really scared to start? What would you advise the person?
Okay, for the consumer part, so for the challenges faced by people, I guess, I would probably say usually sometimes I'm kind of nervous for people who are not used to Nigerian food, right? My biggest one is sometimes I kind of oversight myself and I'm thinking like, oh my God, I really hope it's not too spicy. I hope that it's not this or this. So I'm sometimes in my head a lot, right? Making sure, even though I cook this same recipe for I don't even know how long, right? I still get really nervous all the time that somebody might not like it. And it's true. Sometimes some people might not like it, right? And I try to get feedback too as much as I can from the people, right? Like, what did you think? How did you enjoy it? Things like that. So sometimes I'm kind of holding my breath for what they're going to say. So I think that one is it, just getting into your head. And then for the other one, the tip that I'll give to somebody who's really, really scared to start is, honestly, you just have to start, right? Like you have nothing to lose at all. So why not start? Look at whatever it is you want to do. Research about it for sure. I had to do so much research before I did anything, right? Talk to people who are already doing what you want to do. And then you just have to move, because if you don't, you'll just keep getting scared. And probably while you're waiting, somebody else will probably have that idea and you'll just see them, you know what I mean? You just see them kind of run past you and then you're in that feeling of guilt or regret. So just do it. If you're, and yeah, get somebody who can support you too beside you, I would say.
One thing you just said made me remember the parable of the talents. And we know the parable of talents because it was something that was figurative in our face. Like you could imagine that, okay, this is the master, this is this. But you just saying that about you just sitting on a gift or on a talent or on an idea that God gives you.
Yeah.
And you don't run with it and someone else does it. I've spoken to like a lot of even singers that they would sit down on a song for years and they will hear it somewhere else and they wonder how it happened. And it just literally brings the parable of the talent into today, that I might not see it, like I might not see the master giving, like literally doing take 5, take 2, take 3, but having that mindset of God has actually given each and every one of us talents. And if we sit on it, if we be like that guy that said, oh, you gave me just one. Dupe has, she can sing, she can cook, she can dance, she can this, and you compare yourself and you sit down on that one, God will give Dupe that one, that maybe that one, all she needs is to be a tech person, you understand, and you have all the tech knowledge in the world, you're sitting on it. God just needs to give her that tech idea, right? And that's how she runs with it. So you never just sit down on that gifting or on that talent, or just sit down and say, oh, don't worry, people will come to me.
No.
I'm sure that if Dupe didn't put herself out there, she probably will still be sitting down in her house right now.
I was telling you, I'm like, thank God it was last year I did that tour, because I don't even know what would have happened if I waited till this year. Like literally, I'll just let you in a little secret. So the time that person told me to start this thing was in March. And then officially I put my Instagram account out, like Auntie Dupe's book out, on April 10th. So it's almost our 1-year anniversary. So literally in a month, I was like, what do I have to lose? I'm not waiting for anything, right? So yeah, you just got to do it. You got to do it. Just because chances are somebody else is probably thinking of that idea, right? While you're still ruminating. So you can't be mad if that person goes past you, right?
And one thing you just said, actually, this girl is just a pastor. One thing you just said that made me cringe now is the fact that a lot of times we let that fear get into our head and we delay the vision. I'm just imagining right now that if last year you said, don't worry, I'll use 1 year to prepare for this thing, and you wanted to start this year, I'm 300% sure that you'll be so discouraged that you'll be like, this is a sign that I'm not supposed to do it. Exactly. Right? But now that you can, even if, God forbid, COVID, they say, okay, for the next 1 year, you can't do any food stuff. For you already have that experience to run with, and a backup plan to run with. So just like you said, don't delay the vision, just do it. So if you don't get anything from today's conversation, if you didn't learn anything since 11 o'clock when we started, this is 11:58. And the truth is, one thing to learn is just do it. Don't care about what people will say. It will get to you sometimes. I was having a conversation with a big brother of mine last night, and I was like, I remember when I said Life Matters in 2017, and he's like, oh, I said yes. And I remember when I started, and a lot of people that were around me, oh, you're disturbing our timeline. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. And I heard everything. And he was like, can you imagine? And today, literally, I wake up with 12 people live, and I'm like, can we just go back to when we just had and just coming live? And I literally laughed.
There's too many lives.
Yeah, because I laugh because I felt like now it's like a franchise of what, like everybody's now interviewing, talking with people, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, thank you, Jesus.
Girl, you better shine.
I was happy, not because of anything else, but I was happy that I didn't sit down. How would I put it? I didn't sit down on it. Like I went, like 3 years after, I can say that I am glad I went and I just did it. And yes, thank God for growth. You just grow. There's no how when you see all those things, those people, how you run your business during this COVID season. For her, she has to do like a virtual, she's doing virtual classes. So that, okay, so Tolu is saying that also I think another thing is to have great support around you, so that the negative news do not drown you out. Yes, Tolu, but I also believe that you should also be grounded in your own vision. Something that Dupe also said, let's even imagine that her family didn't support her and all that, and it was just one person. For me, being grounded, understanding the vision. See, you can't understand the vision than anybody else. You that was given that vision has to understand it more, right? So I think that also, even when people don't, how do I put it? Even when people don't support you, you are able to stay grounded in your vision.
To be honest, it'll be harder, but you can still do it. It'll be much harder, but you can do it.
Yeah. And someone asking how you run your business. Yeah, so I think I answered that question. So on Dupe's part, she's doing virtual class. She's preparing her virtual classes right now. So if you want to learn new stuff, for me, COVID ain't disturbing me because my content
is virtual.
My content is virtual, right? So now it's giving me more time to shoot more vlogs, to have more content to even talk about than ever before. And already, I always tell people that if you're working with content like this, always have a timetable. It helps you grow. I know people that on YouTube, a lot of them now post like every day. But for me, I already have my timetable on what I want to do per week. So I know that Monday, I have a brand new podcast. Wednesday, I have a show. Thursday, I have a new vlog. So there is a consistency to how, so it helps you work better. If you're in the virtual world, it helps you work better. It makes you run better. Even if your business is just on Instagram, have a timetable so that you don't get stressed out and don't feel guilty when you don't meet up, that kind of thing. But I want to say a big thank you to Dupe today for joining us for Life Matters. It was super, super, super amazing. And
thank you.
I told you, my notes are full. Like
it doesn't feel like it's been an hour. My goodness. I was like, okay, I'm ready for the next question. This is fun.
It's always that amazing. Like someone had to send me a message one day, like, I don't understand how you make someone feel like 1 hour is like 5 minutes. I'm like, literally. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly. Guys, honestly, yeah.
So when I sometimes send emails out, and I don't generally like give an overview, or I send a voice note to the person, I give an overview. It's more or less like sometimes I just feel like I know that when you get there, something else that will happen. So yes. I think the only person that has asked for question and I gave her skeletal was Pastor Miss Olawale. I just gave her skeletal. Okay, this is around. I think Pastor this is around. But I know that once I sit on this chair, something else.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but it was good actually.
Yeah, but thank you very much for coming for today's show. So guys, if you want to follow her, please follow her at Auntie Dupe's Booker on Instagram and follow them, get to know more about them. The link for Traveling Dishes in their bio, so you can read more about them. You can also, she does pop up like Instagram stories a lot, so you can also check out recipes on how to prepare stuff. And yes, a big thank you. Thank you very much, Miss. Yeah, God bless you.
God bless you.
Yeah, and also please don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And also, a repeat episode of this will be on our YouTube channel by the end of the week, and the podcast will be on probably before the end of the day also. And we'll have you can listen to it. So if you're driving, you can listen to it. If you're in school and you're reading, you can also do that. But thank you very much, Dupe. God bless you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Bye guys.